out here going at Black Magas now. Yeah, saying y'all need to take a knee, learn your place in society. I just want to see where y'all at with that. Welcome to Racist of the Week. I'm Reese Waters. This is where we expose the stupidity and hypocrisy of discrimination in hopes we can build a more perfect union. And also laugh. As usual, I would like to thank today's sponsor, Racism. And of course, if you see any nominees, you can drop them in the comments. You can email me at admin@reesewaters.com. Today's nominee, Beattie.
They are saying they only want quality. We've got to go with quality. We got to go with excellence. And then they bring in people out of the trash can. They just go drag out horrible people who you wouldn't hire to run a bodega.
This guy right here is despicable.
Well, those are strong words. Let's dig in, shall we? Trump appoints speechwriter fired for attending conference with white nationalists to top State Department role. Oh, we're off to quite a start. Beattie, a former Donald Trump speechwriter who was fired in 2018 after CNN revealed he spoke at a conference attended by white nationalists, has been elevated to a top job at the State Department, multiple sources familiar with the move told CNN. Now, I wonder what he could have done since 2018 in order to elevate himself from what was a junior position to now a senior position. What could he have done to endear himself to the new Donald Trump administration? Beattie was appointed to serve as the acting undersecretary for public diplomacy and public affairs, a key role that's responsible for helping shape U.S. messaging abroad related to counterterrorism and violent extremism. Okay, so maybe he was undercover. Maybe that's why he was speaking with the white nationalists. He was collecting data and information so he could be more useful to the new administration. No. CNN first reported in 2018 that Beattie, a former Duke University visiting instructor, spoke in 2016 to the H.L. Mencken Club, a gathering that has included white nationalist figures such as Richard Spencer and Peter Brimlow. Beattie, who was then working as a speechwriter in the Trump White House, defended his speech, claiming it was academic in nature. The Washington Post later reported he was fired after a CNN's article. Well, Duke really has come a long way since my childhood. Yeah, it really was. Because the Duke that they told me about, the Bobby Hurley, Christian Laettner Duke, they would have been fine. But the Zion Williamson, Cam Reddish, Jason Tatum Duke is way different. But we still don't have an answer to the question, what did he do to endear himself to the new administration? I heard when he shows up to speak, he comes out to Laura Trump.
Without your bravery, we're all out of luck. No, this can't be denied. You gotta be special.
Yeah, he comes out exclusively to Laura Trump. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. Oh no, here it is. After being ousted from the Trump White House, Beattie founded the right-wing media outlet Revolver News. The outlet is known for amplifying false conspiracies about the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol, including allegations that federal agencies orchestrated aspects of the attack and controlled extremist groups involved in the attack. Beattie also has made a series of racially charged comments, and when you see racially charged, just substitute racist. Yeah, we're not doing racially charged. It's too much racial charging. You know what I mean? It's too much racial charging. No, we doing racist. Ain't nobody got all that time to type out racially charged. It was racist. Writing in one tweet last year, competent white men must be in charge if you want things to work. Unfortunately, our entire national ideology is predicated on coddling the feelings of women and minorities and demoralizing competent white men. Now here's a question, Darren, and this might be rhetorical. So if we need competent white men in order for things to work, then that would mean that competent white men must be superior, right? They have to be superior if we need them for things to work. And if competent white men are in fact superior, then why would you need to specify that they are white men? I know, I got you, right? I got you. Because if competent white men were naturally superior, then you would just go for, we need the most competent, and then the white men would just rise up. But you specified that you need competent white men, which suggests they would in fact not just rise up, because you had to make sure that it was white men. And then you go with our national ideology is predicated on coddling the feelings of women and minorities. And despite, I don't know, women not being able to have a bank account to go get money out of to afford to go into a disco back in the 70s, and naturally black enclaves that are born out of redlining, just off the top of my dome, just off the top. Despite that kind of coddling, you specified that you needed white men, even though if they were in fact superior, you would have just said the most competent. So you are propping up white men by virtue of the first thing you said. So who is being coddled here? Yeah. Yeah, I know. Yeah. I think the firing, I think they got it right with the firing. I think they did. Yeah. I think now I see what they were going for in 2018. And that's all making a whole lot of sense now. And the craziest part is, given just how illogical that was that he said, not only was he rehired, but that tweet appears to be the guiding principle of our legislative agenda. He praised Dr. James Watson, the founder of modern genetics, who later suggested black people were less intelligent than white people, as the greatest living American scientist. Well, Beattie, I don't see how he could be the greatest living American scientist by suggesting that black people weren't as intelligent as white people, because you were the one who made sure that competent white men were going to be elevated. So not even you believe that. He's not gonna like that. You know what I mean? He's not gonna like that tweet. Beattie reportedly said that black lawmakers and policymakers and groups need to learn their place and, quote, take a knee to MAGA. Now, I'm going to land the plane on this one. We'll get into those specific tweets in a minute. But as far as them needing to learn their place, if you actually believed in the teachings of Dr. James Watson that black people were inferior, then they would naturally find their place and be unable to escape said place. So there would be no need for you to say they need to learn their place. You would only need to say that they need to learn their place if, when things are opened up, they escape from the place that you had in mind for them. Yeah. Got to go back to the drawing board with that one. Yeah. I'll tell you one thing, these kids need to learn their place. Huh? What'd they do? They didn't do nothing. No, they actually quite well behaved. I'm just saying, they need to learn their place. I tell you who really need to learn their place is all of these software updates and all these notifications I keep getting. They definitely need to learn their place. How about all these spam calls and emails? I thought this was supposed to stop after the election. And what is this, an anti-Biden ad? What's going on here? You see the theme, Darren? Those are all things that are wildly out of control. I cannot keep them in their place. That's why I'm saying they need to learn their place. Also, these grays also need to learn their place. That's for sure. S-hole countries was the high point of Trump's presidency, he wrote in 2020. That is a pretty low bar. Beattie also posted in 2020 a deeply misogynistic tweet attacking Taylor Swift for opposing a monument in Tennessee's capital honoring Nathan Bedford Forrest, a Confederate general and early leader of the Ku Klux Klan, comparing her advocacy to performing favors for music producers. Quote, that celebrities are required to debase themselves with such statements is in some ways even more humiliating than the physical favors they're required to perform for their producers. And it is at this point I would like to call upon the Megyn Kellys and the Nikki Haleys of the world that have put lipstick on this sexist, misogynistic pig. I'm not talking about you specifically, Darren, although the lipstick fits. I am talking about this greater MAGA movement and the misogyny that is inherent in it. Because they always like to say, oh, no, they're really for women. And he crashed out over a monument to one of the founders of the Klan. That was what called him to crash out and start talking about favors. I gotta be way more mad than that I haven't gotten my Harriet Tubman 20s, and I ain't said nothing like that. CNN found multiple deleted tweets in which Beattie, during the January 6th attack, cheered on the rioters at the U.S. Capitol, calling it, quote, based. And then following the riot, he wrote in another deleted tweet, this color revolution is red, white, and blue. Now, I understand there are a lot of women and there are a lot of black people who feel particularly attacked by Darren Beattie. And I just want you to know, you're not alone. He hates more people than that. In July 2024, he wrote that it might mean fewer drag queen parades in Taiwan, but otherwise not the end of the world if China took over Taiwan, and the U.S. could acknowledge this in exchange for massive concessions from China on Africa and Antarctica. He stated last August that the new UK ruling regime, which elected the Liberal Labour Party, is far less legitimate than Saddam was in Iraq prior to the U.S. invasion, and for that matter, far less legitimate than Maduro's regime in Venezuela. He suggested in September 2024 that the U.S. intelligence community is more likely to be behind the attempts on Trump's life than Iran. Beattie reportedly spread conspiracy theories regarding the Capitol attack, including referring to pipe bombs found outside the DNC and RNC offices as the pipe bomb hoax, and that the federal government spurred the insurrection, calling it Fedsurrection and set up. Well, to that last one, we do know one Fed that was involved.
A lot of the times when I post about your stories, there's always a bunch of people like Fed. And so I've got to ask you these questions because, and that's really important for me.
And it's a fair question.
Yeah. And I've gone through, because I've read some of your court transcripts, and I did notice that you have worked with law enforcement in the past.
Yeah.
So just going to throw this out there and be as direct as possible. Have you ever in your entire life been a federal informant or an asset for the United States government?
Yes. I'm unapologetic. I'm seditiously unapologetic.
Almost immediately following the attack, Beattie denied that those breaking into the Capitol were Trump supporters in a since removed tweet, even while cheering it on. In another series of deleted tweets following the attack, Beattie targeted several lawmakers, groups, and policymakers of color. Now let's see. Mayor Bowser should take a knee as a sign of respect for MAGA. Tim Scott needs to learn his place and take a knee to MAGA. BLM must take a knee to MAGA. They must learn their place. K. Cole James of Heritage Foundation needs to learn her natural place and take a knee to MAGA. And a fifth undeleted tweet targeted Black academic Ibram X. Kendi. Ibram Kendi needs to learn his place and take a knee to MAGA, learn his proper role in our society. Now here I am thinking a black man taking a knee was all it took to bring all of MAGA to tears. And a few years later, they are advocating for us to take a knee. Well, which one y'all want? I must also say though, I am deeply disturbed by how wide-ranging his racism is. I have said up to this point that all you need to not be accused of being a DEI is put on a red hat. But he done threw in Tim Scott and Kay from the Heritage Foundation. Man, look at the Black Magas. Leopards circling all around. You hate to see it. Hey, Byron. Somebody get Byron. What? He buying stocks? Oh, okay. All right, hey, Candace Owens. Candace. Huh? A childhood photo. That was her?
It's crazy how Candace Owens' fan base is now attacking her the way she has attacked other people. Calling her trans the same way she tried to attack Michelle Obama.
Get Rob Smith. Hey, Rob Smith. Yeah, hey, Rob, go get Cartier family and Officer Tatum and all that. I want to show them something. Yeah, because they out here going at Black Magas now. Yeah, saying y'all need to take a knee, learn your place in society. I just want to see where y'all at with that.
I think it underscores how different Trump 2.0 in the second term will be than the first. And what I mean by that is I think that there are many Americans who voted for Trump this time because they wanted what they got the 4 years he was in office before. But this is already gearing up to be a very different administration. And somebody who was considered persona non grata and was fired in 2018 when these things came to light is now in an acting undersecretary role, a position that was previously held, I would note, by two qualified women in the first Trump term. And of course, he'll be serving under a Cuban-American Secretary of State, despite his comments about white men being in charge. I think it simply shows that a lot of sort of the checks and credentials you would go through the first time around, and that there were folks in the administration who would have, raised alarm bells about that. That's just not where we are. Trump is going to get who he wants, where he wants it.
Yes, she was correct to point out that he, in fact, will be serving underneath Marco Rubio, a Cuban American. And if you want some comfort and security in your job, just make sure that they put somebody who believes that you are ethnically unqualified to direct him. Oh boy. And I can tell you this, it couldn't have happened to a better person than Marco Rubio. Congratulations, sir. And let's also not let it go unmentioned how much these checks have gone by the wayside at the same time as they are railing against DEI. Competent white men. Actually, the competent part of that was in parentheses. Yeah, the competent was in parentheses. So really, it's just white men, and competent is optional.
Yeah, look, I mean, this is shameless and despicable. And it really, they are saying they only want quality. We've got to go with quality. We got to go with excellence. And then they bring in people out of the trash can. They just go drag out horrible people who you wouldn't hire to run a bodega.
And to those of you that are unfamiliar, a bodega is like a convenience grocery store mix with loose cats on the bread.
Well, every time I come in your store, the cats sleep on the bread. Every time I come in the store, the cat sleep on the bread. You gonna tell me he live here?
And shout out to Van Jones for saying, go get people out of the trash can. See, we would just call them garbage. We would just call them garbage. You know what I mean? It's free. Yeah, he's got garbage. Did you see who they hired? Garbage. He went and put all the words together to say they got him out of the trash can. I might have to make that a thing.
It's the gaslighting of Americans, attacking black people, attacking brown people, saying we're not good enough. And then they go get the worst people ever born and put them in high positions. And so At some point, I think right now Americans are just shocked. People say, where are the protests? I think people are literally just shocked and can't believe it and having a hard time processing it. But at some point, you piss off enough people, you fire enough people, you pull the rug out from enough people, you shut down enough programs, and you start building up a big bank of people who are pissed off. And that is going to come.
The ball is in your court, MAGA. The ball is in your court. Just as soon as you start to wake up and start to move and operate in your own best interest. Take as much time as you need and feel as much pain as you want. As far as him saying people are shocked, I'm not shocked. I am not shocked. I thought I was unshockable back in November, and then I was shocked a few times in December. Now I was shocked once or twice in January, and in a mere 3 weeks, I have returned to unshockable. The bar is underground.
Nicole Hannah-Jones, she talked about the fact that Donald Trump is not pushing an economic agenda, instead he's pushing a racial one. And it's very difficult sometimes when you get caught in the kind of sensationalism of this anti-DEI rhetoric, or the fact that you are eliminating Black History Month, or these things in the separate departments. And one of the things Democrats have to do is do a better job of kind of sifting through all of this nonsense and loud racist rhetoric that comes like a bullhorn from this White House, with this example in particular, and talk about the issues that matter. This guy right here is despicable. And the fact that he is despicable, and he is a racist, and he gets to have a seat this close to Marco Rubio, says a great deal about Marco Rubio, and it says a great deal about the President of the United States.
Now, Bakari Sellers is just testified right there. That was absolute church. My walk away is talking about having to sift through all of this racist nonsense in order to get to the issues that matter. Now, I just recorded a video about a Yahtzee march out in Cincinnati. So these kind of little dog whistles and stuff that you're spouting out there are also things that matter. But this is the kind of stuff that the Black Magas of the world told me it didn't matter. They were more focused on things like the economy and national security, strong defense, stuff like that. What's going on with that? Huh? What's going on with the issues that matter? What happened with the tariff situation over there? Huh? What happened? He just spouting off about Gaza? Huh? Riviera of the Middle East, just spouting off. Yeah, that's what we're doing. Yeah. Well, they wanted to curb spending too, right? Has Doge gotten around to the Pentagon yet? Have they? No, they just trying to put a freeze on people's payments, though. Yeah, okay, gotcha. What's up with the issues that matter, huh? You can only play whack-a-mole for so long when all of the moles are up, and all of the moles are up already in February of 2025.
Look, I don't know who this guy is, quite frankly. You had me. What I'll say is, I defended Elon Musk tonight. I defended the Trump tariffs. I thought it was a good thing. It's getting our border secure, getting the job done. I don't know who this guy is, and certainly what you put up there and what he said, I think is inappropriate and disrespectful, and maybe he should be reconsidering that. But look, I think we need to be cautious, the people that we put into these positions of influence and power, and we need to make sure that they are going to be respectful of our nation's values. And it just seems to me that I don't know where this guy came from, quite frankly, so I'm not going to stand here and defend him.
Now, I want to give credit to the Congresswoman for at least calling a thing a thing. I'm not at all surprised she doesn't know who he is. This is the same woman who spouted off about the $50 million in condoms spent in Gaza as being the least informed person at the table recently. So that doesn't surprise me at all. But at least she had the decency to denounce open racism. I can't say the same for everybody.
I don't know where this guy came from either, but Vivek Ramaswamy had this to say about him. I would describe him as filling a vacuum in the MAGA movement that I think needs to be filled, which is an intellectual beacon. MAGA movement has been a great populist movement across this country. But one of the things that I think we need in order to take this movement to the next level is an intellectual foundation of who we are and what we stand for.
Hey, Vivek. Yeah, they just played your video on CNN. You get paid for that? Okay, you're gonna have to claim that on unemployment. Yeah, you got to claim any of those funds on unemployment. So when you file your unemployment from Doge, like when you file your unemployment, just make sure you claim whatever funds, whatever residuals they paid you from CNN. Oh, Vivek, I bet you would like to have that one back.
I don't even, I mean, maybe, let's posit he didn't know about the racist tweets. The ADL put out a statement back in 2020 condemning him back then. So how is this person who would say that Black people need to know their place in society an intellectual of any kind? It's bizarre.
Oh, I'm not going to brush past that. Yes, the ADL did denounce Darren Beattie and called him out for being wildly unqualified for the junior speechwriter position that he held at the time. But now all of a sudden, they've tried to scrub that from the website now that he's gotten a more senior position and been way more problematic than he had been when you called him unqualified. Thanks, ADL. Solid. Solid.
Unlike the Congresswoman, I don't have any familiarity with him. However, what I would say is, based on what you read tonight, one of the things about the Trump coalition is that it is seeking to stop dividing Americans by race and start uniting Americans by our unique American values. Some of these things, I think, are divisive by race, which is something we criticize Democrats for, trying to divide us by race. This idea of competent white men, the message is we want the best competent people, period. And this idea of kneeling before a political entity, the only person you should kneel before is God. And so I think some of these people are provocateurs. And I think they say things for their own personal reasons. I think if you're Trump, the question is my movement about a continuation of division along racial lines or a continuation of the unification? Because he did better with minority voters than any Republican in a half a century.
There's one quick point that I want to make before we wrap, and this would be really quick. One of the people that he said needed to kneel was actually a Republican intellectual. Her name was K. Cole James. We are 180 degrees different on public policy and politics, but a 70-year-old Black woman doesn't need to be told by anyone that she needs to be kneeling to anything.
Did I just agree with Scott Jennings? Oh, hell no. I got to end this video. I don't, ain't no way. Play it again. Play it again.
This idea of competent white men, the message is we want the best competent people, period. And this idea of kneeling before a political entity, the only person you should kneel before is God.
Hello, Vivek? Yeah, I'm just curious, because I just agreed with Scott Jennings. I think I need to take some time. How much is the unemployment down there in Ohio? Yeah, I got some people I could kick it with down. I could be in the state. Yeah, like Cincinnati area, Lincoln Heights. Yeah. I want to thank you guys so much for watching the video and send a very special shout out to everybody who attended our last Members Only Live. Who knows how life would have turned out for me if I would have had a perm. We were celebrating hitting the 1,000 mark, and we're close to 2,000. So there's going to be a lot more where that came from. And by the way, you guys will enjoy the archive of all my past lives and videos, which is only growing. I'm also going to be rolling out some new emojis, some polls, so you guys can help me determine the direction of the channel. And if you would like to join, there is a link to membership in the description of all the videos. Now, I alluded to this a while back. Did you know that YouTube actually tells me who the most active subs are and members are on my channel? And I gotta send a shout out to y'all, because it's thanks to you guys' engagement that the content has been doing as well as it has. So I know everybody don't want their whole government out there, so I'm gonna split the difference. Shout out to Tanya S, Tyler H, Kev Z, Micah E, and Gloria B. I wouldn't be here without you guys. Also, if you guys haven't checked out my second channel, Way of Waters, I'm going to commence to posting content on there as well and talking to some folks that can hopefully help get my mind right so I can make it through the rest of 2025. We all gonna need it. Yeah, we all gonna need it.